What is Bitcoin? Today we will tell you what Bitcoin is and also how to send and mine it. To put it in a nutshell, Bitcoin is a virtual unit of value that is used to record operations on the Bitcoin network. It doesn't have any physical form and is initially received as a reward for processing transactions on the Bitcoin network. Does that make sense? Not really. Let's dig deeper. In order to understand what Bitcoin is, we first have to figure out how its network works. What is the Bitcoin network? At the core of Bitcoin's network lies a digital file that contains a registry of encrypted names and balances of the users without storing any actual physical or financial information. At the same time, it keeps a record of transactions on the network linked to the unique set of keys that belong to each user. Every computer in the Bitcoin network that maintains a copy of this file becomes a node in this network. When sending Bitcoin to the network, you transmit the sum that will be deducted from your balance and add it to the balance of the receiver. The nodes copy this transaction into their registers and transmit it to the other nodes. This way, Bitcoin's network is a system that allows the community to keep a record of Bitcoin transactions between the participants of this network. There are no centralized authorities like governments or banks that we normally trust. Bitcoin's network is designed in a way that there is no need to form trust between the participants of the network. Mathematical algorithms and encryptions are in charge of establishing trust. How do transactions work on the Bitcoin network? Imagine you're sending 1 Bitcoin to your friend. As soon as you initiate the transaction, you tell the entire network how many Bitcoins to take from you and add to your friend's balance. But how did the nodes know that this transaction is legit and it was really you who sent it? In real life, you would need an ID or an SMS code to prove your identity, but Bitcoin has something more reliable. According to the rules of the network, in order for a transaction to be approved, it must be signed with a special digital signature. This signature is created via a private key. Your private key is created automatically once you start using any application that works with the Bitcoin network. Nobody can get access to your private key by analyzing your digital signature, but thanks to mathematical algorithms, you can rest assured that this signature was done using your private key. Apart from that, there is a public key that is created with a private key and acts as an address where your funds are stored. So when you send Bitcoins, you send them to your friend's public address. By the way, if you make a mistake with any symbol of the receiver's public key, your funds will disappear and nobody can ever use them again. Once your transaction is successfully sent, you cannot reverse it. So you formed a transaction and it was signed with your digital signature. After that, the Bitcoin nodes check whether this signature was made with your private key without actually seeing your private key. Each time you make a transaction, the signature will be different. The signature is not repeated. It is impossible to forge it since it is formed for each transaction individually and considers transaction amount, address, date, and other parameters. For example, if you change the total sum, the entire transaction will become invalid as it will no longer match its signature. This eliminates the possibility of counterfeiting transactions. The mathematical algorithms that make this possible are too complicated to explain in this video, but you can learn more about them by reading about the epileptic curve digital signature algorithm and trapdoor function. What is blockchain, and why do we need it? Initially, all transactions fall into the pool of unconfirmed transactions. While confirming a transaction, a block of transactions is formed by solving mathematical problems. Each block is limited to the size of 1 megabyte and must be created in 10 minutes. Transactions from the same block are considered to be simultaneous. The system builds up these blocks one after another in order to record the time when a particular transaction was completed and forms a chain of blocks, a blockchain. Each block of the chain contains an encrypted link to the previous block, and it is impossible to replace the blocks that were created earlier since any change will invalidate the entire chain. The creation of blocks happens thanks to the processing power of the network nodes, the so-called miners. Creating a block is called mining as it requires solving a mathematical problem, the complexity of which dynamically changes. On average, it takes about 10 minutes to solve it. The miner who creates the block first receives a reward from the system in the form of Bitcoin. Occasionally, a few different miners mine 2 blocks at the same time. So how does the system understand which block should be added to blockchain first? When this happens, the 2 versions of the blockchain become irrelevant until one of them adds a new block. The Bitcoin system immediately determines the longer chain and cancels all the others. In this case, transactions from the rejected blocks are sent back to the pool of unconfirmed transactions. That's why it is important to wait at least 3, but preferably 6 confirmations on the Bitcoin network until your transaction is confirmed. Key benefits of the Bitcoin system. Decentralization. There are no authorities such as banks or governments. High level of transaction security and safe storage of funds thanks to mathematical algorithms and cryptography. The network operates 24/7, 365 anywhere in the world with internet access. There are no additional requirements for making transactions. High transaction processing speed, especially in case of international transactions. All network participants are anonymous, but at the same time, everyone has access to the history of all transactions on the network. Blockchain and Bitcoin are among the most essential developing technologies of the last decade, and many countries are paying more attention to this progressive trend. Some do not understand and take this technology apprehensively, and yet the majority are working on developing it. Certainly, like all developing assets, Bitcoin every so often is subjected to all kinds of speculation and fraud. But this only proves that the technology has potential and that it has already built the basis for the payment systems of the future. Thanks for watching our video. Stay tuned with us and follow our wallet on Twitter, Telegram, and Facebook. In the next video, we will share some insights about transaction fees.